They broke the building. They did not break the oath. Before Hezbollah had a name, before the resistance had an army, 10 young men in the streets of Beirut swore a pact. They called it the Mithaq, the Covenant of 10. He was ours. Fuad, the quietest of us, the one who built what others only dreamed. They buried him beneath the southern suburb, but we do not begin in rubble. We begin where he was born, in a village in the Bekaa called Nabi Sheikh, where a boy opened his eyes for the first time on land that would never let him rest. This is the story of Fuad Shukr, born in Nabi Sheikh, the same soil that gave the resistance its first Secretary General, Abbas al-Musawi. 9 days after Mustafa Badruddin entered this world, Fuad followed, as if the land could not send one without the other. He grew up and moved to Uzai, in the southern belly of Beirut, and there he found us. 9 others, brothers not by blood, but by something older. We clasped hands and swore the Mithaq, a sacred oath before God, to keep this land and never turn back. 10 souls, 1 covenant, and a country that had not yet learned to fight back. Then the enemy came, June 1982. The tanks rolled north from the border, and the world did nothing. At Khalde, south of Beirut, 3 of us stood in the dust. Fuad, Mustafa, Imad. No army behind them, no uniforms, no name yet for what they were becoming. They met the invasion with whatever their hands could carry, and they did not break. They captured an armored vehicle from the invaders, the first trophy of a war that had not yet been declared. And in that moment, the Mithaq was no longer a promise. It was a fact. A year later, the oath demanded more. American and French armies had stationed themselves on Lebanese soil. They called it peacekeeping. Fuad, Imad Mugniyeh, Mustafa Badruddin, Ibrahim Akil, 4 of the 10. On the 23rd of October, 1983, they struck both barracks in a single morning. 299 occupying soldiers would never leave Lebanon the way they came. 4 sons of the Mithaq did what no Arab army had ever done. They made 2 empires choose to leave. The Mithaq did not rest. In 1986, Fuad captured 2 Israeli soldiers on Lebanese soil. The enemy wrote a new doctrine in response, the Hannibal Directive. 8 months later, an Israeli pilot fell from the sky, Ron Arad. The last place he was ever seen was Fuad's house in Nabi Sheikh. In 1988, his brother Hassan was killed. Fuad buried him and kept walking. He left for Tehran, to return sharper than the blade that cut him. The oath had no borders. In 1992, while Muslims were being slaughtered in Bosnia, Fuad answered. He led fighters into the mountains of the Balkans. They trained the Bosnians. They fought the Serbs in snow and forest far from home. 3 years in a land that was not his, for a people he had never met. Because the Mithaq was never only about Lebanon. It was about every soil where the faithful are buried without justice. He returned from the Balkans and began the work that would define him. When the enemy assassinated Abbas al-Musawi, Fuad led the response. For the first time, resistance missiles fell deep inside Israel. He built a missile program, a naval unit, precision-guided missiles, cruise missiles, drones, all from Tehran with his own hands. Where others saw a resistance with rifles, Fuad saw an army, and he built it. In 2016, Mustafa Badreddin was killed in Syria, the last brother from Khalde. Imad, gone. Mustafa, gone. It was Qasem Soleimani who chose him. He looked at all of Hezbollah and said, "This is the man." Fuad became chief of staff. And on the 8th of October 2023, the support front for Gaza opened. It was Fuad's hand behind every missile that crossed into the occupied land. But Fuad was not only a man of war. In his final years, he turned to the Quran with the same discipline he gave to the battlefield. He sat with students, with professors, with engineers. He believed that a resistance that does not think will not survive, that the mind must be armed before the hand. This was the man they came for. Not just a commander, a teacher, a believer who fought with a rifle in one hand and a book in the other.